Barnard. In KTM news this week, firstly going international, Jeffrey Hurlings makes it 10 wins on the 2014 season so far. And Brian Baragwanath, keeping it a little bit more local, wins out the Desert 1000 race and gets his seat for Dakar. At the halfway point of the race, there were only seconds between the top three riders as they were in a class of their own out front. Who would hold the level head with 3 laps remaining?
I tried to push a bit harder the first lap and made stupid mistakes. I nearly threw it away in the morning, so I've got to concentrate now in the second half of the race and get my head in the right place. The bike is unbelievable, you know, everything's going 100%.
Just as soon as you get into the dust, you can't go any faster, so you're pretty much just stuck in that position. But yeah, Ross is flying, so we're all got a good pace going.
Picked up wire on the last lap, so I lost a lot of time there. But yeah, we've got 3 laps to go, new loop. So the first lap, just see what it's like and try plan where and what to do to make time.
The peakless Tyron Miller was back into 4th place, with Dylan Ings also making up huge ground to now lay in 5th overall. It just didn't look like anyone was going to catch Ross Branch out front though, especially when he could see his first hat-trick of wins just around the corner.
I tried to pass Kenny on the rocky climb. Every lap I catch right up to him, but everyone's riding so good, and for me to close that big gap and try past him is a bit difficult.
The fight though was now on between Kenny Gilbert and Lawrence Mahoney, and Gilbert was starting to make some mistakes. Heartbreak once again for Nicolas Pinar as he had to retire with just a few kilometers to go. Once again, fueling problems.
The pace was unbelievable, you know, the last 3 laps was like a motocross race. There was no slowing down, there was no resting. Lawrence and Kenny were unbelievable. It's great to race against them and be up there with them.
It was tough from the beginning. Oaks are riding so well, and a lot of dust this morning, so it's difficult to catch the guys.
Yeah, I just tried to push really hard to catch Ross, and I ended up crashing, and then I knew Lawrence was coming, so I kind of just started overriding after my crash, and then Lawrence caught me. It got really tight, and then he could see my lines, and I was just all over the place, but it was my own fault.
The results showing once again Ross Branch goes 3 for 3 with another victory, this time extremely close, only 0.6 of a second. Lawrence Mahoney gets his second, ahead of Gilbert and Miller.
Yeah, it's like you said, we have 2 races at DNFs. The first race was okay. We tried to make a comeback on the second one. We had a problem again. But all we can do is just give our best to the end of the season. And I mean, the season's never over until the last race is done.
Well, confidence and a bit of nerves as well. That's something I'm not used to, being up at the front. I was hoping just to break the top 10, but 3rd overall is pretty good so far. Might drop down a little bit, but you know, I'm happy where I am as long as I can just bring it home and have a nice finish.
I'm expecting a lot of dust, and also now with sunrise, it's going to be so tough, the sun and then reflecting all the dust. So I think the first lap's going to be really tough, but after that we just got to push through and try and work up a few places.
It's our last long national of the season, real desert style racing, so we're happy to be here, and we've missed this sort of racing. We didn't do this one last year.
With 3 wins out of 3, who would be able to match the pace of Brian Baragwanath? Starting in first place is such a big advantage with regards to dust, but if there is grass, you are the man who has to cut it and navigate the dangers first. Brian Baragwanath was once again in complete control from the start, but had a flying Andre Duplessis and David Hollis chasing hard, as well as podium finisher from round 3, Justin Robert.
With a lot of racers, that's a different story. But without the farmers, we can't do the race. We needed the rain, we need them to understand why we do it. They have to shift their cattle, they have to move things out of the way for us, and they need to have the time for us. We thank them all for their support, for the time they give us, allow us to ride on their farms.
Andre Parks was once again performing higher than everyone's expectations as he made his way through the field yet again. Berne Bester started well but would unfortunately not finish the first lap. Retirement for Bester.
Also interesting is that we're going to through a milliland. The people must know their skills and not to be a harvester but a racer.
With the top 5 starting to pull away from the field, the pace just kept on getting faster and faster.
All I can do is just give my best and see if I can win all the last races, and yeah, that's all we can do.
Yuri Meyer had suffered 2 DNFs in a row and needed a good result here. After the first lap, he had already made up 6 places. Hannah Simon was pushing hard to catch Justin Robert to take victory in the Q2 class, and after a DNF, he too was looking for maximum points, but he had a hard task in keeping Jaco Moller behind him for much longer. In the Masters class, George Michaelides would round off the top 5 in what seemed a tough race for the quads. In 4th place, aboard the Honda, was Peter Schenk, not having one of his best days. Rounding off the podium was Factory Racing's Tony DeSantos, yet another solid performance. With one of the biggest shocks of the season, Yuri Meyer Sr. was beaten to the line for the first time in many years, with George Twicher taking victory in an exciting round 4. Another solid performance saw Team Ride SA Ted Barbier take 5th place in the senior category, 25 minutes behind Peter Walter on the Yamaha. Another of the DeSantos family put in a solid performance. This time, it was Paul DeSantos who took 3rd in the seniors. With less than 10 minutes between teammates for victory, saw Stuart Freeman take the honours over Russell Ferreira on the day. A tight championship between the two after Ferreira's victory last time out. Looking at the results then in the Masters, Twicher takes the win for the first time this year over Meyer Sr. and DeSantos. Seniors, it was Freeman, Ferreira and another DeSantos.
For sure, it's a nice 450 track today. My gearing's a bit long, so we're going to change it now. Hopefully we can pick up a pace.
We're just going to keep on pushing and see where we can get it.
It was down to the final laps as Brian Baragwana still held the outright lead, but Yuri Meyer put in some blistering laps to find himself in 2nd place and not too far behind the leader. Jaco Moller was back to 3rd place and also held a great pace going into the final stages.
Yuri got in front of me and Andre is like right with me, so I'm just going to try and run with them for as long as I can and hopefully I'll get a good result at the end of the day.
It was unfortunately a slightly disappointing day for David Hollis as he dropped down the order to 5th place behind Andre Park, who seems to just get better and better every time he goes out.
I'm happy to be home for a change, but yeah, no, I rode hard as I can.
It was another smooth day, thankfully. This morning took a while to get into it, but otherwise not too bad. Thanks to my man Jack, my #1 mechanic, who's keeping my bike going this year. And yeah, without him I don't think we'd be here.
So it's 4 for 4 in the championship so far in 2014 for Brian Baragwana, taking another win ahead of Meyer, Moller, Park and Hollis, a strong top 5. Kings of Dirt is presented to you by Broadlink. Serious bandwidth for serious business. Brother, print, copy, scan, fax, label, and so much more. Driven by the all-new Ford Ranger. Ford, go further. And KTM, ready to race.